brawl broke out, and Aaron Donald whatever was said or whatever was done to him, he had enough, started swinging his helmet violently. People are wondering what should be the discipline, if there should be a discipline. A couple people on the way in, Harry, at 888 ESPN, 888-729-3776. Mike in Milwaukee, what do you got to say?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
Don't sweat the technique.
Attaboy. 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 Big Mike in Milwaukee town. Attaboy.
So you can't show favoritism to $100 million man if it was in a game, if it was some a lonely guy that was, fighting for a spot, fifth offensive lineman, or Aaron Rodgers. You swing a helmet, that's a violent move with a weapon, you got to suspend them. And I would have to say 4 games.
Oh, wow. He went strong on that with 4 games. And I hear his point because you can't allow those kind of things to happen at a practice or really in anything. Yeah. If a player decides to take justice, Harry, into his own hands, I'm a firm believer there should be some kind of discipline. Here's the deal. The Rams would do that to player number 54, not player number 1 when it comes to Aaron Donald. They're not going to do that.
I think if you're the Rams, right, you look at this and you meet with Aaron Donald, y'all have a nice little talk. But I think what they're going to do is probably fine him, right? You can fine him a little money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Aaron Donald's making a ton of money, and he might not miss it. But I think for them to be able to save face a little bit, they're going to have to at least fine him.
I don't think they're going to because, they're going to what's the old country song, Stand By Your Man? They're going to stand by their man when it comes to Aaron Donald, especially when he's been able to stand by this organization through lean times before finally winning a championship last year. Dan, in my hometown of New York. Dan, what do you have to say about this, my friend?
Hey, guys. Just wanted to say it's awesome to talk to you. Big fan of the show.
Appreciate you.
So, first off, I'm a big Raider fan, so it pains me to bring this up. But yet you're saying the NFL can't step in practices, but they weren't letting AB practice with a non-conforming helmet. That wasn't a team decision to not let him practice. That was a league decision to not let him practice because of a safety issue. This is a big safety issue, happened in practice, and now you're saying the league can't step in and do anything about Aaron Donald. To me, it's not really apples and oranges. It's kind of the same thing.
Well, here's the thing. We got to remember that at one point the NFL was being sued because of concussions and that whole nine. So when you talk about player safety and you talk about helmets, and I remember, Freddie, because I had a certain kind of helmet that I wore when I was with the Falcons, right?
Right.
And I think my last year, and then when I got to Tennessee, my helmet switched, and I was highly, highly upset. I won't say I was upset to the point that AB was, but I was mad because I was so accustomed and used to a certain helmet that I wanted to use. But they was like, listen, it's player safety. This is coming from the NFL. You can't use the helmet that you normally use. So I think when you look at it from that standpoint, the concussions and people wanting to sue the NFL and how they want to cut down on them, and by any means, I'm not saying that what Aaron Donald did is good and he should be, praised about it. I'm just saying that's the difference. When the NFL is going to protect the shield, right?
Sure.
And by doing that, and you talk about concussions and people going and suing them, that's a way of doing it.
Right. Harry,
you see they have those little booties on right now on their helmets.
Right. Because they don't want to get sued because they love money and power. Yep. That's what the NFL loves. And if they can keep both of those things the way they want it to their standards, then, they're going to be hypocritical because it involves money and power. We're going to push the conversation when it comes to Trey Lance. And should the 49ers have regret if they don't keep Jimmy Garoppolo? We'll do that in 30 minutes here on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio and ESPN2 with Harry Douglas. I'm Freddie Coleman. People want to continue to weigh in about this. Aaron Donald, Bengals, Rams joint practice. Fight breaks out. Multiple fights break out. Aaron Donald swung his helmet and made a couple connections, swinging violently. Should the NFL step in and do something, or should they leave well enough alone because they can't step in because this was at a practice and not at a game? Titus in Florida at 888-729-3776. Titus, what say you?
Hey, good morning. How are you, boss?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I do not feel that AD should be suspended. It happened in practice, and that's where it needs to stay. Now, I also am a homer as the only Rams fan in South Florida. However, keeping it real, there's a lot of things that these guys they get away with in practice that they couldn't do on the field, from what they listen to, the length of their socks, the color of their shoes, because it's practice. It's unfortunate, but in the words of AI, it's just practice.
Yeah,
so let the Rams fine them. They paid them over $190 million. Let them take a little bit of money away. But other than that, that's just the way I feel about it.
I'm not just going to trivialize it. By the way, thanks for the phone call and the kind words, number one. And number two, I'm not going to trivialize it by saying it was just practice, because more than ever before, there's more of an emphasis on how much can you put in practice, Harry, but not for preseason games. And starters not playing as much time in the preseason like they used to. So I'm not going to minimize it by saying it's just practice, but I will say this. Because it was a joint practice, there were cameras around everywhere. When they had joint practices about 5-10 years ago, you didn't have a lot of cameras around. You may have seen bits and pieces here, but there were plenty of that around that this wound up taking a whole different level, Harry, because it was seen and it was not stopped. And everybody saw how many fights were going on at that practice. That's why it's taken on a level that we've seen with Aaron Donald, that helmet, and everything that led up to that situation.
Yeah, I'm just going to be honest. If you're AD, you got to know, man, you can't do this. Especially who you are. And, someone hit us up on Twitter, Freddie, and I kind of like what he said. He said Aaron Donald, a veteran player, made a rookie mistake. This is something that you would expect from a young player, right? Not a veteran player like Aaron Donald, taking your helmet off and swinging at someone.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I mean, you really shouldn't expect it from a rookie either.
Right.
So I thought it was an immature move, but do I honestly think that the Rams are going to suspend a guy like Aaron Donald? No, not at all. That's why I said, listen, for them to even save face, they at least got to hit him with some kind of fine. Now, what that amount is doesn't have to be told, doesn't have to be disclosed to anyone. That could be between the team and Aaron Donald. But just you got to find them so you can save face for your organization at least.
Nathan Miller had a great tweet at Coleman ESPN saying, let this be a lesson to the NFL and the commissioner not to mandate previous Super Bowl contestants to hold August joint practices against each other for reasons exactly like this. Emotions spilling over from a few months ago. Nathan is spot on.
That's a good point.
Yeah, if you're going to have a joint practice as contentious as that guy at the end of that game, you know there were hurt feelings from the Bengals, even though 3 of the 5 offensive linemen were not there in that Super Bowl earlier this year, Harry. But you look at Aaron Donald saying, that blankety blank kept us from winning the championship, or that referee's call cost us a game. Then you have a joint practice. You know somebody said something, and Aaron Donald responded, and the next thing you know, Mel Gibson, they may try to take our rings, but they won't take our freedom. I'm not trying to minimize it, just trying to lighten it up. But,
look,
hey, these kind of things happen.
You top that with it's hot outside.
Yeah,
you don't know how many reps you've been going. You're tired. All these things, you don't know who gave who a little extra shove at the end of the play.
True.
All those things, man, are factored into this whole ordeal. But if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm feeling some type of way that he wrecked my damn Super Bowl opportunity to get a ring. So, yeah, I'm going to have a little bit more. I'm going to play with a little bit more edginess when I go in here to this joint practice.
No doubt about that. Great stuff from Harry Douglas. Joining me, Freddie Coleman, in for the guys today, and Keyshawn J. Will and Max, presented by Progressive Insurance on ESPN Radio. Also tune into us on the ESPN app, as well as your smart speaker by saying play ESPN Radio and ESPN2.